Hi friends, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Martyna and welcome to another video. So today I wanted us to continue with the Let's Use Up a Whole Book series, which we started recently, and I will have the link to the playlist for you below. But basically what I'm planning to do is I chose this particular vintage book because it's gorgeous. I love the cover, I love the pages. This is a French book. And I want to use the whole thing because I have a lot of books and I just want to use my stash. So I'm going to be using all of the pages and sharing my process with you in videos, but also I'm going to eventually use the cover and make a journal out of this. But today I thought we could do something that I love and something that I feel like I haven't done for ages. So we'll see if I still love it. No, I'm sure I do. I'm more nervous whether I still can do it, and that is collage masterboards. I love making collage masterboards, which are those large collage pieces which you usually then cut up to smaller pieces to make ephemera, pockets, tags, cards, anything you like. And I love making them. I find them very relaxing, very freeing. But I would also like to take this opportunity to talk about some of my sort of favorite tips for collaging if you're a beginner or if you just don't feel like you have a hang of it yet, because collaging definitely can be difficult and it doesn't come naturally and you don't develop your style just like that. It takes time, it takes practice, and I do get comments sometimes telling me, you guys tell me that you struggle with collaging, you try and you don't like the results, and so I'm not an expert, but I love doing them, and so I just want to share what works for me, and yeah, maybe it will help someone. I hope it will. And even if you are a collage master, then I hope you will find this video enjoyable. So let's start, and I am going to use this piece of brown packaging paper as a base for my collage. I tore it to be like almost a 12 by 12 paper. I think it's slightly larger because I didn't have a ruler when I was tearing it, but that's okay. And I chose this particular paper because I like this really nice warm brown color. So this is actually going to be the back of my masterboard, so that when I collage this side and then cut pieces out and use them as tags, for instance, this is going to be the back of my tag, so it's a beautiful surface to write on. And just before we start, I wanted to add that while I am going to be giving you guys my tips while making a collage masterboard, I really think that these tips will work for any sort of collage, any size. So even if you want to create a single journaling card, I think these are still going to be applicable. Okay, so my first tip would be to choose a glue that will work for you, for your project, for what you have in mind, for the type of papers, for the type of media that you are going to be using. And so I would typically just go with a glue stick, because what I usually do is I just take scraps of paper, glue them down to something that is also paper, so to my base, and just go around with that. So glue stick is perfect. I sometimes also use, do I have my wet glue here? I don't. Oh yes, I do. I sometimes also use this glue that you guys know. This is wet glue. This dries clear. It's white, dries clear, and this is good, and I would use this for thicker paper. Sometimes scrapbooking cardstock, I feel like the glue stick has some troubles with. Obviously, it depends what sort of a glue stick you have, but perhaps for thicker, for more, yeah, just I guess thick papers, I would use something like this. But today I'm actually not going to use either of these. Today I am going to go for matte gel medium, because what I want to do, first of all, I want to try something new. Like I said, I usually go for glue stick. I glue papers down. I love it. It's oh my goodness, I have so much dust on this lid. I just used it today, but still, yeah. So yeah, we usually would go for glue stick. Today I want to try something different and perhaps add some wet media or something wet on top of my Collage Masterboard when I am done with it. And so by gluing the pieces of paper with matte medium and just adding it on top of the pieces as well, I will be able to then add something watery on top. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but we will see. And so I'm just going to get a brush, and also I'm going to take these two scraps of papers. These are scraps, but they are really pretty. And I will put them maybe like that under my paper, so I don't get too much glue on my desk. Now my second tip would be to start with the biggest pieces and to cover up your surface, your blank page, as quickly as possible with the biggest pieces. I know the fear of the blank page. I get it too. And so what I like to do and what I like to start with is start with the biggest pieces and then gradually go for the smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. And this way you create such gorgeous layering of very different sizes of papers and types of paper. And it just looks really, really nice in my eyes. So because this first layer, it's just our background, a lot of it is going to get covered up. So another, I guess, tip would be not to choose your favorite papers for the background, because a lot of this is going to get covered up. So far we only want to cover up the blank page, and maybe I will use some of those mixed media pages which we made in episode 1 of the series. Like, for instance, this. I love this. I would love to use this. This is modeling paste. But I know that I would probably also want to collage over this. And I just love this page so much. So I will probably save it for something else. But I could perhaps use this one and maybe this one. I would also probably think about your color scheme, and so I guess another tip would be to stick with the similar color scheme and not go for too many colors, unless of course you want to, because I believe that it's just easier, especially when you're a beginner, to manage a limited color scheme, like you can go for neutrals, for instance, and start with that. You can go for pinks and greens. So, for example, a color combo like that, and that would also just be great. So I'm just going to smoosh my matte medium here with my paintbrush and start gluing the pages. And here is another tip, and it applies to whatever. Oops, this curled a little bit, so sorry, I can't really see. Okay, this applies really to whatever glue you chose for your project, whether matte medium or like gel medium in general, like me, or glue stick or any other glue. The tip would be to glue your pieces entirely. to put glue, like if you are using glue stick, just put the glue over the whole image, not just the edges or just the center, because sometimes when we are sorry, trying to organize my space here. Sometimes when we are collaging, and this applies to mostly to collage masterboards, by the way, because sometimes when we are collaging journaling cards, for instance, you're making a collaged journaling card or something small like this, we just use glue for the edges, and that is absolutely fine. But Collage Masterboard, if you are intending to use it to cut it up and make ephemera with this, then you really want the glue to be everywhere on your pieces, because when you cut up those random pieces, you don't really know where you are going to cut, and you want to make sure that wherever you cut, you have glue there. You know what I mean? So that your pieces don't start just sticking out and bothering you and falling off of your tag. Excuse me, falling off of your tag and of your tags and cards and whatever it is you decided to create with them. And so let me just perhaps, okay, so I will add this, and maybe I also would like to add this one. So here I'm going to go over the book page that I already have, and while I intend to use mostly those book pages from this particular book for this project, I am also going to, in just a moment, grab some other papers so that we can have a little bit of variety in the background. Now, on some of these book pages, those which are covered with mixed media, I did use distress oxides and distress inks. So it's also important to remember that when you are choosing your glue, and that if you have some water-soluble media on your pages already, and then you go over them like I am now going over them with a paintbrush, then some of this color might smear, some of this color might just, you know, wake up and start going all over the pages, all over the page, sorry. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't mind in this particular case, because like I said, a lot of this is going to get covered up, so I don't really care about how it looks. I also am going for a little bit of a, maybe a bit of a messy, a bit of a grungy look. So that's completely fine by me if something smears, but it is something to keep in mind. And of course, with a medium like that, you don't have to go over the piece. I believe it would be fine if you just put the medium behind this piece or this page. But I am going over it because, like I mentioned, I may want to add something watery on top. I want to have this option, and this medium just creates this protective layer. Okay, so I have 4 of these book pages on the page. Let's now see what else we could use. Like I said, we're going for big pieces. So here I have, let me move this to the side, I have a box of large scraps, which are mostly neutral colors. Oh, this is so pretty. Neutrals with a little bit of color. So maybe we will use this. Let's see what we have here. And I like to just see what I have here. Those Tim Holtz papers would be so pretty, but I'm always like, which side do I choose? They are all so pretty. This one is pretty. So for especially for my background, I am going to go with neutral colors. This book page would be nice. Maybe book pages is what I should focus on. Oh, look at those gorgeous florals. I think I will actually take this out so that I can fussy cut them. This is a nice book page. This one has some illustrations. Do I have any more book pages, texts? This is very pretty. Not a text, but a gorgeous scrap nevertheless. So I think I'll start with the book pages, and we will see how much space we then have left to cover up. And also, because my background is this nice brown paper, I don't have to worry that much about covering all of it, because it's a nice color. But also I know that when I cover my blank space here, or most of it, I am going to go back and start adding smaller pieces to this collage as well. So all of those little spots where now there is nothing but the brown paper of my background can be covered up easily. So this is definitely taking me longer. I can already tell, longer than if I was just using, maybe I will tap this edge, if I was just using glue stick. So again, something perhaps to consider. So maybe here. I definitely think glue stick is the quickest, the easiest method, but you also do need to have a good quality glue stick, because I've had my fair share of bad experiences with low quality glue sticks, and I used to hate this type of adhesive until I found glue sticks that actually did what they were supposed to do, which is, you know, glue things. And then I started to actually enjoy using them much more. Okay, so perhaps I could have a piece of this gorgeous, this is like packing paper. So how would I like it? Maybe I will tear the edge here, and I'm going to tear just a tiny edge here. And I'm keeping those edges as well, because they are very nice and really pretty. This is gorgeous. So still kind of going with the neutrals. because the background here is this really nice pale yellow or off-white color, but I decided to add just a pop of color with making sure I have all of the edges here. Yeah, just a pop of color with those gorgeous florals. And then up there, perhaps I could use this piece. So this is actually a digital, a printable of a wallpaper. Don't want too many of those straight edges. Maybe it's a bit too big. Yeah, I think that could work up there. And so at this point, I'm also not too worried about the composition. As you can see, I do have some of the same papers, like the book pages next to each other, though granted this one is clear or like clean, and this one has some mixed media already on it, so maybe they do look a little bit different. Still, it's the same font, it's the same piece basically, but that's again because this is just the beginning. Okay, so now we've covered up most of the, I have just a tiny amount of here of blank space, but we've covered up most of the blank space. And I'm quite happy with what we have here. So let me perhaps maybe cut those edges that are sticking out, just so that I can see a little bit better what we are working with. Oh no, and I'm cutting a little bit too much now. Oops, okay, that's fine. This is sticky. And perhaps just a little bit here as well, just so that I can see the shape of the collage that we are creating a little bit better. And this torn edge I actually really like of the book page, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. Alrighty, so next what I would do is I would go for smaller pieces, and this time I would start paying attention to what you are putting on to the page. So for instance, if I had a scrap of this brown book page, I wouldn't probably use it here. I could use it somewhere here, so we had it on like a diagonal line, or maybe here, but not here because you just wouldn't see it. That's, again, I'm just telling you guys what I would do, and sometimes maybe I would go for this sort of a look, but not this time, I guess. So let's put this aside for a moment here, and let's look through my box of smaller neutral colored scraps. So I have this is a piece of a paper of a tea bag, so I think I would like to use this. I also have this one, which is a bit more pink. It was from some fruit tea, so maybe I could use that. This would give us a nice texture. And first I'm looking for smaller, but still like not the tiniest scraps, you know? So I want to, oh, this might be pretty. This I just used to punch out some stars, so maybe we could use that. Still don't want those tiny ones. Maybe I will actually need to go to my other box, but maybe we will find stuff here. Maybe this one with the punched circles could be nice. We have this piece with some, this is I believe from a vintage magazine. Some music paper would be nice. Oh, I have this gorgeously grungy piece, some ledger paper scraps, but these are still quite small, so we will come back to this. And here actually is the paper, the brown paper that I was talking about, and so maybe I will take this actually as well and try to incorporate it somewhere. So we are building up the layers now. We are building up the layers and going with elements that are gradually getting smaller. So let's start with this. And as you will see, like I said in the beginning, a lot of what we put in this first layer is now going to get covered up, and that's okay. That's okay at all. Just adds to the interest. But yes, if you would like to follow this way that I use to collage, then like I said, I would probably not use my favorite pieces for the first layer when doing it like that. Maybe this one here. So some of the edges I'm tearing, some I'm not. And also I think another tip or another thing that really helps me is to stick with rectangular shapes. This obviously is not a rectangle, but it's close enough. Same as this, same as this one here. I feel like rectangular shapes, especially when you like vary, if you put them horizontally or if you put them vertically, they just always look good. So I really do love using this shape for my collages. I often struggle with some strange irregular shapes when I am collaging. If you are able to work with pieces like that, then absolutely go for it. It can definitely add a lot of interest to have very many different shapes on your pages. But if you are struggling, if you are a beginner, then I would definitely start with smaller pieces. And I just need to say, I love how this tea bag looks here, how it's like transparent, but you can see that something is in here. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. So maybe this pink up there. So actually this tea bag, because I don't drink black tea, I don't, like, my tea bags don't get this nice saturated brown color. So I think this one was from some white tea or something like that, and I just spritzed it with coffee when it was dry, and yeah, and that worked really nice. Let's see, I'm just looking for a spot maybe here. So I also, the way I like to layer my pieces is going over the lines that I already have on the page. I also think this helps a little bit with the composition. So that's how I like to do it, although I do not ever try to line my pieces like exactly, meaning that I wouldn't put a very similar piece, like size and shape, just next to this one, because I don't think this would be very interesting to my eye. Okay, maybe this then up there. But like I said, it's just a few, I think, simple rules that I follow very often when I do collages. And, you know, the rest is just like very just mindless, and you can just have fun with your scraps, using up your scraps, just gluing gluing papers together. So as you can see, I am, just like I said, going with smaller and smaller pieces. Building up those layers. Some of the text pages I am putting the right side up, some of them are sideways, some are upside down. It again adds a lot of interest in my eyes. But also, if you are using your Collage Masterboards to make ephemera, to cut it up and make ephemera, then remember that when you cut them up, you're only going to see a small part. So if I was to cut it up right now, and for instance, I would cut up like a 4x6 journaling card, something like that, then I would have a little bit of this tea bag, this scrap, this book page, and that's it. And so for me, that's not a very interesting background. Obviously, if you are more minimalist, then perhaps that is what you are looking for. But for me, I like to kind of think of these things when I am when I am adding the scraps, and just make sure that I have some interest everywhere on the masterboard. I wonder if this will stick. This is quite thick, but we can give it a try for sure. I think it will be fine. Because I'm using matte gel, this probably will dim the shine of the gold a little bit. But that again doesn't really bother me. Ooh, how about here, so that I can see this little flower through the hole. I think it might be cute. I hope you guys are okay. I hope you are doing great. I think this video I'm filming a little bit ahead, so I think I'm going to be publishing this video on, let's get some more pieces, on the weekend. Oh, I still have this one. So I hope you are, I have some of this embossed scrap, so maybe I will use this. And now I can actually go for the smallest bits. So I have this scrap of a doily. I have this, this is another scrap that is embossed. Just really, really small scraps now. So yeah, I hope you are having a great weekend. Are you doing something fun? Are you doing something crafty? What are you guys currently working on at the moment? What crafty projects, or maybe not necessarily crafty, you know. I just would love to know what your current hobbies are, what you currently love doing in your free time. So I'm going through here and I'm trying to find some scraps where I believe the colors would work well with this neutral-ish tone that I have, but also some textures. So this here, it's like a very thin sort of handmade paper. Oh, I have this scrap of some printed letter, more circles, obviously. I'm keeping every single tiny scrap of Edith Holden, and it is a good project to use them up. Also, you know, when you cut up your masterboard and there is a specific, oh, this might look nice too, there is a specific part that you don't like, then you know, you can just cover it up. You can just stick a flower over it, or maybe a bigger scrap over it, and it's going to be just fine. And because we are working in layers, I feel like we really do have a lot of control over the final result, because we can really change everything. I could just, like, if I didn't like what was going on here right now, I could just add large book pages over the whole thing and, you know, start over. Just start over. Nobody would know. So I do have a few, like a little a bit of variation in the shapes of my scraps that I'm using, but still kind of sticking with this rectangular shape throughout the whole thing. This is nice because it adds a different texture, but it also should be, maybe not here, like that. It also should be kind of transparent, yes, and it is. You could also use tissue paper over it, collage paper, serviettes, or what are they called? Napkins, right? There are so many things you can add. Handmade paper, all of the different scraps, scrapbooking cardstock. I'm not using a lot of, or if any, scrapbooking cardstock on this particular masterboard at the moment, but that's also a great addition. Especially those scraps that sometimes we just accumulate and then we don't really have an idea what to do with them. Sometimes they are too small for us to just figure out, you know, how we can creatively use them. Just throw them on a masterboard, like I am doing right now. Oops, I actually, maybe I don't. Maybe I will change the placement. I just noticed that, excuse me, off camera, I just noticed that I was covering this whole tea bag, and I still would like to see a little bit of this. Also, one more thing to consider is, or rather not to worry yourself with, is composition at this stage, because with collage masterboards, you know, like there is this rule of 3 in collage, and it is very helpful. So basically what the rule says, let me just glue this here, is that your eye or your brain likes 3s and likes a triangle shape. So what this means for collaging is that when I am using, for instance, this gold piece here, and I was doing like a finished collage piece, I would probably want to add some of this gold maybe here as well, and maybe here. So this would create a triangle, and my eyes would follow all of these pieces throughout the whole composition. However, because I am making a collage masterboard intending to cut it up, I don't have to worry about that, because maybe not here, because I am literally not going to be able to see the whole thing when I cut everything up. And so I I like to concentrate more on those, like I said, individual pieces, knowing that I will come back and I will cut them up, and I want to have interest on all of the pieces on my entire masterboard, rather than focusing on it as a whole and on a composition. However, if you are making a if you are not making a masterboard, but rather like a complete piece of collage, so for instance a journaling card, then you might consider just paying attention to this rule of 3. I don't always do that. I kind of sometimes like with smaller pieces more to work in pairs, so I would have like something like this here and then here, so my eye would go in more like a diagonal line than a triangle. But it's also, I feel, a personal preference, and the rule of 3 is there for a reason. It works for so many people. It's probably proven somehow, so you might want to try it and to think about, if you have something green here, then perhaps have something green here and maybe then in this corner, and so you kind of create this triangle on your page. Okay, maybe some of this embossed paper. I'm now going for really small scraps at this point, because we're kind of running out of space for those larger pieces, which is great, just what I want. Now, as you can see, not much of those original book pages are still showing, but some is, and you know, it's all part of the process, or all part of building building layers and building interest. Let's see about this doily. Where do we still have some blank space that we may want to cover up? Maybe here. So I think actually the other way around. Like it. What else? We have this scrap. So right now there's not that much space, so I kind of try to think a little bit more, perhaps a little bit too much, one might say, about the placement of the pieces. Now, I do love this beautiful paper, but perhaps we could add something here to have a little bit more going on, because if I cut a piece, I like to cut my masterboards kind of blind, so I turn them around and I don't see the pieces that I get. But if I cut here, I would pretty much only have this paper, which is nice, but it's kind of not the point of this, of what I'm doing here with all of those layers. What else? I have this little scrap left. And I think even if there are some rules, let's say, to creating collages that are pleasing to the eye, I think it's also quite subjective. So there are things that I may like that you may not. There are things that I might dislike that for you look pleasing, which is, you know, which is completely normal. And so with everything, I would say know the rules so that you can break them. but you can break them on purpose and not, you know, not on accident, and then you end up with a piece of art that you are not satisfied with. Okay, so let me look at what we have here. So I think maybe I will just go through and look for some like tiny pieces that I still could use. But we are definitely getting closer to finishing this part, so the layering, the papery part, and then I will perhaps want to try to add some interest in other ways. I love adding vellum too, so we could definitely use this. I wonder how this would look with gel medium. I don't think I have ever really tried sticking vellum with gel medium before. Maybe here, let's use maybe this small one, like that. This is a piece of a book page in Latin. I hope I am not off screen too much, honestly. I apologize if I am. I kind of forget to look at my computer screen to check, especially because this Collage Masterboard is bigger than my screen, bigger than my camera can handle, I guess. So maybe another piece of vellum. Then I think I will take just a little bit of break, let this dry, or dry it more probably with my heat tool, because I don't really want to wait too long. I want to continue working on this, and then we will see what we can do next. So at this point, I'm using the tiniest pieces, putting them wherever it feels right, and yeah, just really going with the flow of this. Oops. What else can I use, or do I want to use anything else? Okay, I think I like it for now, so let me pause the camera and oops, this one is coming up. Yeah, maybe vellum is not the best idea, but because it curls up, I can already see that. But if it happens when I dry this, I will just go and glue it with my wet glue or something like that. Okay, so I will be back. So this is now dry enough for my next steps. Here is what it looks like so far, and you could definitely just stop here and, you know, cut it up and have your ephemera pieces, but I really want to do something more with it. And so I have this very old, very stiff and not very pleasant paintbrush, and I want to use it dry, and I want to use some gesso, white gesso, over some of the pieces here, because what I want to do when I cut up these pieces is I want to add some focal points, maybe a tiny bit more of collaging if I feel like it, but just a focal point and call it a day. And this for me is a bit too busy, because if I now were to take, do I have any flowers? If I were to take a flower or a bird, which I can now obviously not find any, to this now, then I don't think you would see them well, because it's so busy, it's so just loud, and it's gorgeous. But I just want to try something more with it, try to do something more. So I am taking this scratchy brush, just making sure I don't have too much, and I am just going, sorry for the sound, it's really scratchy, but I am going to use this dry brush to go over some of the parts to make it look a bit more grungy, but also to push some of those patterns, some of those bold patterns that I have here, to the background. And I am not looking for anything precise. As you can see, I am changing the direction of my brush, going this way and that. And I am loving how grungy and how scratchy this starts looking. Maybe in some places I will add a bit more, and some can have just a smidge or even not at all. Okay. I think I like it. Maybe some, just a tiny bit more to the edges. Okay, let me dry this. Now, because I wanted a little bit more grungy, I'm going to go with coffee. And I have this very dark, very strong coffee in the spray bottle. So I am just going to go over some parts of my collage here and just add some splatters, some color. Some parts will have more again, some parts will have less. And this looks like a mess right now. We can make this coffee run a little bit more to create some pretty effects. But other than that, again, I'm going to dry this. Look at how cool some of those splatters dried. I really love how it looks like. right now it's so messy and grungy, and I am loving this. And I know this is not everyone's cup of tea, which is completely fine. And yeah, if you just stopped on the papery bits, that's awesome as well. But I'm kind of in this mixed media mood recently. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just looking for my inks. I'm going to use this script stamp. I had it for years, but I'm pretty sure this one is from Kaisercraft. And I'm using archival ink in Vintage Photo. And I'm going to just stamp a little bit all over the place, messily, just adding a little bit of a different texture, different color, something interesting. And I'm using archival ink because I still would like to add something watery to this soon. So archival ink is of course waterproof, so this will allow me to keep adding. Yes, not sure if the stamping picks up on camera, but I can definitely see it in real life. I think that's it. So what I want to do next, and I think those might be my two last steps for today, and then in the next sort of episode of this, I would like us to cut this up into pieces and use this to make some cool ephemera. But let me just grab... Sorry, you guys, not very organized. But what I have here is some water-soluble or watercolor pencils. This one is Inktense in the color Willow 1900, and this one is a Stabilo Woody 3-in-1, and I guess this is the color, or maybe like 1220 is the color, not sure, but it's gold. And this one is brown, and so these react with water. So what I want to do is I want to go with the pencil over some of those lines of my scraps to kind of make them a little bit more visible, because obviously with all of the layers that we've added, we just may lose some of the feel of the individual scraps. And so I am now very messily, very fast going over some of those borders here and kind of underlining some of my like scrap borders, I suppose. And then let me just spritz it with water. So I just have some water. This should activate the ink, and it's just going to flow really nicely. Just going to turn a little bit watercolory, and you can also, oops, I'm completely not spritzing in the right direction. So yeah, you can let this run a little bit again. So do you see that it just adds, again, a tiny bit of interest? And because I used mud gel for gluing my pieces, I now have this protective layer, and so I can spritz the whole thing with water without really worrying about ruining any of my papers. Nothing is going to happen here. You can, of course, with those watercolor pencils, you can what's the word? You can dip them into water first, make them wet first, and then go over your scraps, but I don't know, I like this way. It's just very free, flowy, again, kind of mindless. It doesn't have to be, oops, excuse me for the noise. It doesn't have to be regular, doesn't have to be perfect. Just adding those lines here and there and everywhere. And even if when I add water, some of them just, you know, don't stay where I put them, that's fine too. It just adds interest in my eyes. So now I want to make sure the whole thing is covered with water. And maybe I will let this run just a little bit. And where I think that I don't have enough definition, I will just go back over the wet paper and add it once again. And you can just build those layers, add water, add the pencil till you are satisfied. So I do love what we have here. It also, this particular one, it has such a pretty, very warm sort of brown color that I love. Looks a little bit like those pieces are maybe edged with vintage photo, perhaps, or just aged. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have enough of this brown. Now, she says, as she keeps adding even more, but this is sort of addicting, I guess. Yeah, okay, stop. All right, I love what we have here. I'm going to dry it, and then I'm going to do pretty much the same thing with the gold one. It is dry enough, I think, and I just love how some of these collage pieces now stand out with those little shadows around them. And so let's go add some gold. And you guys, this gold pencil is magic. You'll see. So I am doing exactly the same thing, maybe not over the same places, because it wouldn't make sense to cover up what we already have, but just randomly going over some of the scraps with the gold, and in itself it's already a very pretty color. It's this kind of warm gold tone. Oh, let's go over the embossing. I love it. We could actually do this here as well. But when you add water to it, that's honestly when the magic happens. So let's go with, in the meantime I refilled my, oh, look at this, look at what's happening here, how it just all gets warm and gold and pretty. And because it is water soluble, I can now go over where I think I want more over the water and maybe add more here. Oh, I love this, I love this. This gold is very pretty, and I haven't really played with those woody 3-in-1 pencils before, so I was really surprised when I got those those gorgeous effects with the gold. I also have them in black and white and silver, and I think I also got turquoise. So now that I know how they work, I'm definitely going to be using them more. Okay, not to go overboard. Again, I need to dry this. Okay, so I think I'm ready to call it a day. So here is what it looks like. I would normally probably add some splatters, gold and maybe white, but I think I want to leave it for the individual ephemera pieces. So this is what I would call, does the camera catches the shine of this? I don't know. But the gold is so shiny. But yes, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say. Here I have some something that's not dry yet. But yes, I would call it the end of part 1. And in part 2, which I'm very much looking forward to, we are going to cut this up into smaller pieces, and we are going to collage. And I just wanted to collage, to make pieces with it. We will see what we can make, but I just wanted to show you guys how gorgeous would focal points like flowers, for instance, look on this, because we have such a grungy background. These, I believe, they stand out so well. So I can't wait to see what we come up with when we actually get to create ephemera pieces with these. So thank you so much for crafting with me. I know this was a long video. I feel like I've been here forever just because I've spent so much time drying off camera, but I am really happy with it. I also like how it feels. It's just kind of, I don't know, I like the texture. I think it's the gel medium. We have our back, which actually got some distressing with some gesso on the back, which is completely fine. And yes, so let us let us finish here. And I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye.